I normally compare the AirPods Max against cheaper headphones. Not today, because today I'm putting them up against these. I've compared the AirPods Max against loads of other headphones up until now, and they always lose. That's because they're too expensive and they have loads of irritating shortcomings, stupid case, you can't turn them off, they always run out of charge because of that, and they still use lightning. But today I am going to give them a chance because these are the Focal Bathys, I need to get that pronunciation right, and they are quite a bit more expensive than the AirPods Max. So they're really expensive, they've got a slightly weird name, and they're from a manufacturer who have never made a pair of over-ear Bluetooth noise cancelling headphones before. So surely these are going to make these a decent buy finally. Or are they? You may not have heard of Focal before if you're not into your high-end, hi-fi, home cinema, or even the sort of stuff that goes into recording studios, because as I mentioned earlier, they don't really get involved in consumer products like this. Well, now they have with these Bathys, and boy have they made an entrance. These retail at $799. I didn't buy these myself. A very quick shout out, in fact, to headphones.com who supplied me with these. Thank you guys. If you want to check them out, they are the official US retailer of the Focal Bathys. I'll put a link in the description. But at that price, that makes these $250 more than the retail price of the AirPods Max. It also makes these the most expensive pair of noise cancelling over-ear consumer headphones I've ever reviewed. So what do you get for that extra $250? And more importantly, does it make them $250 better than AirPods Max? So the Bathys feature aluminium/magnesium M-shaped dome speaker drivers in each of the ear cups, and they're made at the Focal factory in France. That's where they make all of their stuff, all of their high-end gear, so you're getting a lot of that experience and manufacturing know-how built into these headphones. However, they tell me that they have revamped the speaker drivers to adapt to the constraints of portable headphones, which basically means they're smaller and lighter. And they're compatible with all the Bluetooth codecs you would expect, SBC, AAC, aptX and aptX Adaptive. It's Bluetooth 5.1 if you're interested, and in terms of battery life you get 30 hours. Give these things a 15-minute charge, that gives you 5 hours of playback, and a full charge takes 1 hour 30 minutes. Noise cancellation comes in 2 modes. You get silent mode, which is optimized apparently for trips with high background noise like planes and trains, that sort of thing. There's a soft mode, which is to aid concentration at home and in the office, and then they have a transparency mode which lets the outside world in so you can be aware of your surroundings. All of this stuff is pretty much standard when it comes to noise cancelling headphones. But there is one big difference with the Bathys that is located on the power switch. And if we look closely, we can see off, on, obviously, but in the middle, DAC. And what that means is that if you switch it to DAC, you can plug in the included USB-C cable into these headphones and then into, for example, your laptop or something else that can play back high fidelity audio and listen to lossless music on these headphones. And they'll play that back at a resolution of up to 24 bits and 192 kilohertz. I'll get to that in a minute, but first, let's talk about design and the all-important case. Starting with the design, these are a very interesting pair of headphones to look at, and clearly they take a lot of their design cues from open-backed headphones, which is no surprise when you consider what Focal do elsewhere. They're not open-backed, obviously, they are closed-back, but that kind of design, which I know has some issues for reasons I won't go into, but that design does look like these are fairly traditional headphones in a slightly updated modern body. There is quite a bit of plastic going on, but it's high quality and they do feel bulletproof. More importantly, they are very, very comfortable. I've worn these for long stretches of time. I love the padding on the headband, that's just perfect really, and there's loads of cushioning on the ear cups. They do have this illuminated logo on the side of each ear cup, which is definitely an acquired taste. You can turn that off if you want to. That does give them a bit of a gamerish type look, you know, a kind of gaming aesthetic going on with these, which again isn't to everyone's taste, but I don't mind it. I do think these look like a fairly expensive pair of headphones, which they are, and the build quality, as I say, is very, very good. They feel like they could take a lot of stick. Most importantly, they have proper physical buttons. There are no touch controls on these at all, which is exactly how headphones should work. So we have play controls, we have the power button obviously, and we have a button as well for your assistant if you want to use it with Alexa or Google Assistant, and also a button for noise cancelling. The case is pretty good as well. It is bordering on Sony XM5 size, I'm afraid. And the reason for that is because there seems to be a bit of a growing, increasing trend for headphones to only fold like that. And while we're talking about convenience, the 30 hours of battery life on these is just fantastic. It's what you want. Standby time is great. The fact you can turn them off is what you should be able to do, but also means they last forever off charge. But if you combine all of those things, you know, the proper case, the design, the fact that you can turn them off, USB-C charging, immediately they're a much better and easier pair of headphones to live with than the AirPods Max. So we're off to a good start, but I know you've got one question on your mind, which is, what do these sound like? I'm not going to mess about with this. The Focal Bathys sound absolutely astonishing. They've got an amazing wide sound stage. They feel like they're EQ'd perfectly out of the box. There's loads of detail going on. They can cope with all the really deep sub 30 hertz stuff. They can deal with the top end things. There's not too much mid-range going on. They're just lovely, balanced, fantastic sounding headphones. Put it this way, one of my main headphone testing tracks is Easy on Me by Adele. That sounds great on most gear because it's so well produced, so well recorded, but on these it just sounds somehow even better. I've always enjoyed the sound of the AirPods Max. I've described it in the past as being expensive sounding for a pair of consumer headphones. It was up until I started using these, and when you do like an A/B test between these two headphones, these get absolutely trashed by these. The Focal Bathys make the AirPods Max sound hollow, uninteresting, unexciting, and just a bit rubbish. So immediately, if the main thing you care about is sound, and you do have quite a big budget, that $250 extra to buy the Bathys over the AirPods Max, I think is worth it. And that's even before we get to the DAC side of these. So remember, there's a button on here, not a button, a switch, that we can flick and go into DAC mode, which means we can plug in a USB-C cable into these headphones and then into, let's say, your laptop. And from there, you can play lossless audio from, let's say, Apple Music, and it works perfectly. Now, this isn't an audiophile channel, so I'm not going to go into loads of detail on that, but it does make them sound even tighter, and just the fact that you know you can get the best possible sound out of these via a cable is really nice peace of mind. Remember, you can't do that with the AirPods Max. Even though you can connect these via the cable that isn't supplied, that's something else. You get the USB-C cable with the Bathys. If you want to plug the AirPods Max into anything, you have to buy, I think, a $30 terrible cable from Apple. And even if you do that, you don't get lossless audio like you do with these. So sound-wise, there is no comparison between these two headphones. These are the best sounding pair of noise-cancelling over-ear Bluetooth consumer headphones I have ever heard in my entire life. Moving on to noise cancelling, and if this is Focal's first stab at noise cancelling, it's really good. And I have mentioned this recently, that we're at a stage now where noise cancelling is pretty much universally great if you spend above $250, $300 on a pair of headphones. And the Bathys are no different. I know they're a lot more expensive than that, but this is their first attempt at noise cancelling, and it's brilliant. It's just as good as the AirPods Max noise cancelling. When it comes to transparency mode, which brings in the outside world, AirPods Max are still kings of this. I think stealing Apple's crown with transparency mode seems to be quite difficult for some reason, but these do have quite a good stab at it. You don't get that same kind of high fidelity audio from your voice that you get on the AirPods Max, which is very useful for taking telephone calls and that sort of stuff. But you do hear yourself pretty well, and you do hear the world around you, obviously, when you turn transparency mode on the Focal Bathys. There's not much more to say about noise cancelling on these headphones, really. It's just very good, as it should be for the price. As I keep saying, these are a very expensive pair of headphones. It's difficult to get that $799 price out of your head. But if you've got a very good budget and you're not too fussed about spending quite a lot of money on headphones, and if you are really interested in your sound, if that's a big factor for you, but you want a pair of headphones that combine great, fantastic, barnstorming sound with really good noise cancelling, great battery life, convenience, the ability to listen to lossless audio if you want to, and great comfort, there's not much else on the market that matches these. The closest are the Beoplay H95s from B&O. They're about the same price, I think, and I haven't tried them, so I can't compare them with the Bathys, but these are just incredible. Are they better than AirPods Max? Well, yes, on the face of it, but you do have to bear in mind that these don't have the same integration with the Apple ecosystem. That's an obvious trade-off. It doesn't doesn't bother me personally. The other thing is that these don't have Dolby Atmos support and spatial audio like these have. So again, if those things are more important to you, you can save yourself some money and buy these. But as a pair of headphones that sound incredible and are built in a way that will last years, and more importantly, will never annoy you, these do walk all over the AirPods Max. I'd like to thank headphones.com again for providing me with these Bathys. Remember, if you want to check them out yourself, click on the link in the description. If this is a bit too expensive for you, if I'm talking way beyond your budget, which I completely understand, keep watching for a link to a video I made recently about the Bowers & Wilkins PX7S2s. They're quite a bit cheaper than both of these headphones, and they're definitely worth a look.